Good morning, this is your wake-up call.
Hello friends, and welcome back to Now Awake Wisdom. Today, my talk, I know I'm going to get a lot of negative feedback, but my talk today is about dropping the Old Testament. Let me start off by saying condemnation without investigation is the true form of ignorance. This is a very big topic that I want to start by saying the Old Testament, we need to get rid of it. The New Testament, I completely believe in. The stories of Jesus, I believe in Jesus. I believe in all what he taught, and all of what he said was the truth. So the foundation of my spirituality is the New Testament. But that alone, I would drop the Old Testament away from the New Testament, because the Old Testament and the New Testament are two completely different gods. And Jesus says it many times in his teaching that the people of the Old Testament are worshiping a different God than the God that Jesus is teaching. The God of the Old Testament is an evil God. He kills people and he wants you to be a slave. It's about keeping you under slavery. The Old Testament God, he is an evil God. It's actually, it depends on how you look at it. It could actually be the devil, which I believe the devil is the root of all major religions, because you don't need a religion to have spirituality. You can have your own relationship with God and your own relationship with Jesus. Major religions are just a sham to get you to give them your money, and they take the truth. You can take 90% truth and 10% lies, and it's still enough to lead you astray. Major religions take parts of the truth and they change them and form them so that you believe what they tell you to believe, and they tell you read these stories and only these stories and don't read other stories. I have been researching religions for close to a decade now, and it's not just one religion. I have studied all religions. I have studied as many religions as I could, just because I wanted to know the truth of where we come from, why are we here, what is our goal, what is our purpose, what is our mission. Now, I'm going to be making a few points today that is just going to let you see things from my point of view. I'm not here to push any views on anybody. My only goal is to open, or to help open other people's eyes to the truth. Major religions want you to see everything their way, and if it's not their way, it's not the truth. The Catholic Church is great for these type of things. They want to take, especially with what I'm talking about today, the Old Testament, and cram it down your throat and tell you it's the same as the New Testament when it's not. My one main topic today is the Old Testament. If you want to find the truth about the Old Testament and where it came from, I always go back as far back in time to the original documents to see where these things really came from. The Old Testament came from documents at least 2,000 years older. Now, don't take my word for it. Do your research. I'm going to put it in my videos. If you go into my channel and look into my playlist, I'm going to have resources. Now, you can find this there. Either go and read it yourself or go on YouTube and listen to it. But it's Sumerian tablets that were translated by Zechariah Sitchin. The Book of Enki. The Book of Enki is where the Old Testament came from. Now, the Old Testament gives you stories that are just a couple sentences long, and you're like, well, where did this story come from? I don't understand this story. It's so short. How can this, why is this story even in here? If you go back and look at the Book of Enki, it has all the stories from the first few books of the Old Testament, the books that Moses wrote. Moses just took the stories from the Book of Enki and told them to you in very short stories. The best thing I can tell you to do is research the Book of Enki. It'll tell you all of the truth of the stories from Adam and Eve, how humans were made, all the way up to Noah and the ark, and they have Cain and Abel. They have all the stories that you hear of in the Old Testament and don't really understand. And the church just kind of took them and put a spin on them to make you think that it's God, when back then people were really worshiping a more advanced human and thinking it was God and calling it God. So go back and read or listen to the Book of Enki, and that'll show you all of the Old Testament. Now, another main reason I want to drop the Old Testament is the Old Testament God is not a God of love. It's actually just a human. No God would want you to go out and kill every man, woman, and child of a civilization. They wouldn't want you to wipe out, everybody you find. That wasn't a God. That was all coming from a human that churches twisted into making you think was a God. Now, I do not believe in religion, but I do believe in spirituality. Religions will tell you that this is the truth and this is the only truth, when you should go and do the research for yourself. Study every extra biblical book that you can find, because even though they tell you not to read it because it's not the inspired word of God, none of the Bible, I believe, is the inspired word of God, because first of all, they're not true stories. They took stories from an earlier time and changed them to make it look like it was God when it was actually humans doing these things. And they tell you not to look at these books that is actually the expanded version of stories that they tell you. They just want you to get the short version of it and pay them to explain it to you and pay them for your salvation. That's why I don't believe in religion, because you don't need to pay people for your salvation. They don't want you to have the truth so that they have to guide you. Now, I want you to have the truth. I'm here to try to open people's eyes. And I'm going to be making more videos to explain more of why we're here, where we came from, and what our mission is. But for today, my main point is to give you a good foundation. Now, the best foundation that I've found is the New Testament is the very first book you should have. And second, I want you to get a good grasp on the Book of Enki, because that will explain the rest of the Bible, the Old Testament, and it'll give you a good foundation of where these stories came from and what they really mean. Once you read the Book of Enki, it'll open up your eyes and you'll understand a lot more of what is really going on and what the church has been hiding from you. And you'll have a much better foundation. And once you go through and you understand all of that, you can go to one of my next videos that I'm going to be making and take the next step. But for now, I want you to get a grasp on the Book of Enki and let me know what you think about it, and let me know if it helped you, if it opened your eyes, if it gave you a better understanding of what you've been taught for so many years. Now, I believe all major religions are false religions. They are all religions led by the devil, because 90% truth and 10% lie will still lead you astray. These religions will give you a lot of the truth, but then they'll put a little twist on something that says this was from God, or God said this, when God, it wasn't really from God, it was from a man. They just want you to think that these are the laws, and it's all to keep you under slavery and under their control. Major religions are one of the biggest forms of control. Just like money. Money is a huge form of control. Money is to keep us slaves. Money is created by the devil to keep us slaves. Religion, major religions are exactly the same. They are made by the devil to keep us slaves, to keep us under his power. You don't need major religions to have spirituality. You can have your own relationship with God and your own relationship with Jesus. You don't need a religion to do that for you. That is, religions are all to keep you under their slavery, to keep you under their power. And that they are all led by the devil. If you like this video, please click on the subscribe button, click the like button, and check back. I will have more videos. Once you get a good grasp on the Book of Enki in the New Testament, I will have more videos out to help open your eyes to the truth. I'm not here to force my opinions on anybody. I'm just trying to show people the truth, open people's eyes to the truth. Now, check back for my videos. I'll be taking it one step at a time to show people what spirituality is all really about. So again, subscribe, like, and I will be back with more. Believe in self, believe in unity, and love conquers all. Peace.